What's something that everybody knows, but nobody actually says out loud? Money absolutely matters. And it does buy happiness. Yeah, there are diminishing returns after a certain amount, but more money usually means a happier individual. This is because money means financial security, buying food when you're hungry, having a home without fear, freedom to travel an appreciable distance, not having to worry so much about personal life changes like job loss, pregnancy, or health problems. You don't need all the money in the world, just enough. Looks do matter, and they matter a lot. And before anyone chimes in, they absolutely do. Looks determine whether you will get a job, if you can get a date, or if a person in public will be nice to you or give you contempt, and definitely how people perceive you. Looks decide everything in seconds. All it takes is for a person to think you're not attractive in the slightest. That being alive at all and conscious is just really, really weird. It's like when you wake up from some fucked up dream and think, what the hell was that? Thank God I'm back in the real world, only to then realize that you still really have no idea what's going on, and never can or will know. Brown-nosing works. Reminds me of the joke, what's the difference between an ass kisser and a brown-noser? Depth perception. Having mentally sane parents is one of the most important privileges in life, yet it isn't talked about nearly as much as race, class, etc. I shouldn't have to ask, how are you, in a work email. It should be okay for me to just talk business and get straight to the point. We are all just kids walking around in grown-up bodies. I keep waiting for a grown-up to come tell me what to do. Some people don't apologize because they have remorse for what they did. They apologize because they think it will end the conflict. That we are all certain to die and be completely forgotten within a handful of generations. Not if you sell bad copper. Okay, sure, you'll still die, but everyone will remember you forever. Emotional intelligence is vastly underrated. And also extremely undervalued. The amount of low-paying jobs which take huge emotional tolls is massive. Oh, you like helping people? Cool, go do that and remember that if your wages suck, it's just because you enjoy your job. We all have dark thoughts that we don't act on. When my daughter was 5 or 6, she told my wife and I that she was a bad person because she had thoughts about what would happen if she did bad things. We had to explain to her that this was perfectly normal, and it was what she actually did that was important. We had many discussions about what her dark thoughts did, and what to do when she had them. When someone asks, how are you? They don't actually want to hear how you are. Both my Polish and my Ukrainian teachers emphasize that, in pretty much every European culture, asking someone, how are you? Is not a casual greeting of strangers, and they will proceed to basically trauma dump their entire life story onto you. Apparently it's one of many reasons Walmart failed in Germany. They tried to enforce American-style retail small talk, and it backfired hilariously badly. Most newborn babies are ugly on the first day. The day before my son was born, my wife and I looked at each other and said, know that if when he comes out, we think he's cute, that's just the hormones talking. And then he was born and I remember thinking, oh wow, I, of all people in the world, have the one cute newborn. Took about 3 months before I looked back at photos and realized, nope, it was the hormones. There actually are people above the law. Our world is a house of cards. It's all meaningless, but we all rely on the structure so no one wants to knock it down. The idea of meaning was created by us. There is no meaning or value inherent to anything. We make things have meaning or value through our biased perception. That you'll very infrequently find honest answers or unbiased information on Reddit. Everybody knows that success often comes from luck and timing, but we rarely admit it. We prefer to believe it's all hard work and talent. The "not in my backyard" philosophy runs deep and is essentially universal. Even the most liberal-minded, progressive, educated, compassionate people can have a meltdown when something uncomfortable or unbecoming pops into their lives. Good-looking people get away more when behaving badly. Children that are complete a-holes exist. The parents know. What? Pull my finger means how a colonoscopy works. Even the medical insert doesn't say the words. You will experience extremely powerful diarrhea, with the intent of flushing all the contents of your colon out. You're just supposed to already know. For those who actually didn't know, this is the prep. You drink a fairly unpleasant solution starting something like 18 hours before your procedure, which is usually the next morning. In my experience, it's in 2 batches, maybe 8 hours apart. The expectation to wear a suit to the office if you are a professional, even in non-client facing roles, is archaic. This is changing in many business sectors, but you can look neat, presentable, and professional without wearing a suit and tie. They can be expensive, uncomfortable, too hot in summer, and a nightmare if your weight fluctuates. They are also very unflattering if you have certain body shapes, which is me, and probably why I hate them. While numbers and data seem like they should be obviously truthful and factual, any result can be used to support any side of an argument. You just need to be creative in how you view results and slice the datasets. Example: hamburger prices for 3 consecutive months are $1, $2, and $2.50. One person could saw that the price is 250% higher and out of control, and the national burger czar should be fired. Another person could say that hamburger prices have been reined in by 50% and the national burger czar should be given a parade. The dice are loaded. The war is over. That the good guys lost. The fight was fixed. Almost all jobs are made-up bullshit that doesn't matter, and are just part of this big network of made-up bullshit that doesn't fucking matter. It's just a system to sustain this many people who are mostly useless. Because despite their pretenses, everyone has insecurities. People who get paid the least do most of the work. Existence is terrifying. Where do we go after? Is it nice? Is it horrible? Is there just nothing? Why are we here? The idea that we may live on in some other realm forever, even if it is pleasant, is also daunting. People of different ethnicities can have different odors, some of which is down to genetics, but an awful lot is also diet. And yes, we can absolutely smell it for the next 2 days if you've eaten raw garlic. Gambling is a sucker's game. Unless you make it a career, and in some cases even then, you will lose more than you win in the long run. As long as you recognize that and you are willing to spend the money for entertainment purposes, more power to you. But if you think gambling is a good money-making idea, think again. What do you mean no one says this out loud? People say this all the time. People who post constantly on social media are projecting and miserable. The fake optimism around the workplace. I'm just grateful I have a job. No, you're not. This place blows. The place may suck, but I am actually glad to have a job. I remember when I didn't, and it was a struggle to feed my family. What I like less is having to maintain an artificial pleasantness. Like, you're not allowed to say things that really need to be said because someone might get upset. Somehow it's better for a company to get driven into the ground by bad decisions and dysfunctional practices than to suggest how to improve anything. When people betray or abuse you, they know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose, and they're not sorry. They're consciously making a choice. Definitely sometimes, and definitely not always, to be honest. You don't matter to other people as much as you matter to yourself. Incompetence is always a more likely explanation than malice. As MLK Jr. observed, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. Most people just aren't considering you when they make a decision. Latching on to ideas like, "They did this to me on purpose," is basically self-soothing, because it reframes events in a way that keep you at the center of attention, which is often more comforting than the cold hard truth that at the end of the day none of us matter that much to most of the people we know. Sure, some people are sadistic and malicious, but they are overwhelmingly the outliers. No one actually knows what they're doing. We're all just trying our best. People often pretend to be happy when they're not. That the biggest drag on the economy, productivity, and inspired creation is rent-seeking from landlords and lenders. In my part of the country, and probably everywhere, real estate interests rule with an iron fist. People think it's the politicians. Nope, it's real estate investors and the bankers who aid them. In any group of people, everyone knows the pecking order. Nobody ever verbalizes it. It would be weird. Not true. Some of us walk through life unsure of our pecking order location and generally confused about where others rank as well. It's worked out well for me to assume I'm everyone's equal outside of clearly hierarchical situations such as work or talking to cops. We all need an environment to feel safe and secure. Most people spend their time complaining about things out of their control rather than fixing things in their control. Also, why people get annoyed when you point out solutions, because they tend not to want to focus on solutions to their problems, only venting about them. Almost everyone masturbates, and almost every hand you've ever shaken has had a penis in it. How disturbing the food industry is. How pigs, fish, cows, chickens are all harvested so we can eat them. How can we not expect aliens to do the same shit to us if that's what we do to our fellow Earth inhabitants? Well, we leave most animal species alone. There's just a few particularly delicious ones that we farm. So as long as we're not too tasty, we should be fine. Socialism can't work because people will always be corrupt. Same W capitalism though. When a kid shits their diaper in a waiting room. What's something that everybody knows but nobody actually says out loud? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.